We're live on the National Soccer Network. It's episode 218, live here on Inside the Game. Nate Wangler alongside Ryan Glinsky. Wow! All right. Coming in hot today. Here we go, Nate Wangler and Ryan. I was looking at videos, coming in. I know I had my camera turned off there for a second. I don't know if you were freaking out on the other end, like where the heck did he go?
No, I'm used to it at this point.
Yeah, okay, all right. I know I just disappear sometimes, but I was watching this video of, I shared it on Instagram yesterday, but 100 kids versus one professional soccer player.
I've seen those.
Extremely entertaining. He was taken down in the box, which led to a PK, and all 100 kids essentially stood in front of the goal. Shocker, he couldn't score it. I thought one of those kids was going to get obliterated, but he tried to loft it over the heads of the kids. That didn't work. Threw it out, scored against him. Really unfortunate. But the other thing I was thinking about this morning when it comes to, and I know that we've talked a lot about NIL and making money, especially now at the high school level with the MHSAA green lighting, making money for high school athletes, NIL opportunities. If you were to go Power 5, Ryan, and you were given $4 million, let's just start at $4 million to play your position, what are you doing with the money? What's the first thing you're buying? Don't say a car.
I'm given $4 million.
Don't say a car.
If I'm given $4 million,
my man's getting a Lamborghini.
I'm gonna get myself a nice apartment or condo on the first level of a place, so I don't have to climb up the stairs all the time.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
That's probably around campus. I think that's gonna be the first thing. Again, I'm not a huge car person. It loses value whenever it loses 8%, 10% of value when you drive it off the lot.
Yeah.
So I would say get myself a nice apartment or condo that's close to where I really have to be. So even if I didn't even need a car, I could maybe walk places.
Okay.
I actually did up at Central my junior year. I had a group project with one of the football players who's from L.A. and he happened to be wherever his work was over the summer. He drove past Caleb Williams' penthouse when he was playing at USC, and he's like, I don't know how a college quarterback can afford that. So maybe I get myself a penthouse somewhere. Maybe I should just do that instead. I think a penthouse. But the thing is the stairs. I don't want to constantly climb up stairs with groceries and all that fun stuff. So no, I just get myself a nice little condo, nice little apartment on the first floor because I don't want to constantly walk up all those stairs.
I shouldn't have said that right away. Don't say car, because getting a car is not necessarily a bad investment. Now, if you go out and you get an Aston Martin, that's probably a bad investment, right? Because you can't just casually drive that thing around all the time. That can't be your go-to vehicle all the time. I mean, sometimes sure, but a good investment on that front is probably best. I would get a truck. I need a truck. Okay. Something that I can just drive in all seasons. So I'm going with a truck, and probably a nice place to live at the same exact time. What I do with the remainder of that money, I don't know. I feel like any spare income I have now, for the most part, I spend on food. For the most part,
I mean, that's not a horrible way to spend money.
Or I would be the face. That's what I'm saying. Or I would be the face of a fast food company, and then just add on to the money that I already have. See, so now we're doubling our money. Yeah, I don't know. If I was just given $4 million today, it might be a car. It's pretty good chance
penthouse,
it might be.
Apartment, condo, somewhere I can live, close to. Are we saying football here or basketball? If we're an athlete, probably football, right? Because
probably football. We'll go with the football.
Because Braden Smith got $4 million by an SEC school to go play somewhere, but he declined that, obviously. But no, I guess football. Yeah, anywhere close to the facility, if I can get. Hopefully, probably not, but hopefully, if there's a spot.
Throw back to the video of Bryce Underwood whipping around Detroit in whatever vehicle he got. What did he get, a Hellcat or something?
I think so. I think it was that.
With his $12 million that he signed on the dotted line for. Yeah, well, let's hope it pans out for Michigan. But let's get into our soccer conversation a little bit today here on Inside the Game. First topic, the U.S. women's national team. Are they Vibes FC? They have really been playing well as of late. We just got done talking about Trinity Rodman recently and her record-breaking deal that she signed to stay in the NWSL, and then recently went out and played Chile and really took it to them. Shut them out in that game. Won. Trinity Rodman got a goal in that game. And again, Emma Hayes just continues to stockpile wins ahead of what will be the 2027 Women's World Cup immediately after the men's. So not quite getting into the area of really ramping up for that, but still just building.
They have the She's Cup coming up.
You're right. So that's the important one, at least on the horizon right now for the women's national team. But continued to be really impressed by what Emma Hayes has done.
Yeah, no, this is okay. I thought you were doing the constant let's feel for the rest of the show, but yeah, no, this is why I said that they were Vibes FC, because during the Chile game, actually the game before that, Rodman tried to do this and Emma Hayes had no idea what she was doing and said no, and then Emma said she was practicing, but no, hitting the sexy Dexter Lawrence dance, and the whole bench is loving it. It's already 5-0 at this point in the 69th minute, but just hitting the sexy Dexy, love it. Absolutely love it, and that's why I said they Vibes FC, because like it's very casual approach, it feels like, with this whole team. But no, Rodman said she did it. She was very upset after the first time, and Emma Hayes didn't know what she was doing. Emma Hayes later said that she immediately went to one of the players on the team, I forgot who she said, and started asking for some dance lessons with the sexy Dexy. But shout out the New York Giants D tackle, Dexter Lawrence, Clemson alum too, because that Clemson D line was insane. But hitting the sexy Dexy.
Hey, you know the dance, that boy. You know you're a good team when you already have choreographed dances like scheduled out ahead of time. You know, like if there's already an agreement here, like, hey, this is what we're gonna do if we end up scoring or if we end up doing this. You know you're a good team at that point, and so clearly they've already been choreographing stuff.
Well,
and good on Emma Hayes for learning that dance too.
Rodman didn't know she was practicing or anything, so it was Rodman went up the first time.
So she tried to catch her.
Yeah, so Emma Hayes this time knew that she was on, but at that point, does that become a little like if you're choreographing dances? Because we saw the Vikings defense do this last year, and then they get killed by the Lions and the Rams. Could that eventually come back to bite you in the butt? Because it absolutely can if you're choreographing your celebration dances ahead of time.
Yeah, I think there's a fine line between like rubbing it in and gamesmanship and just having fun. But there's this movement in sports right now, and we've all seen it, and I think it extends out to soccer too. But it's the whole let the kids play. Like let the kids play, let the kids have fun, let them do their celebrations. Like that's the part of the game that we love. And I think Emma Hayes is comfortable in letting the young kids be the young kids. I don't think she has to force things one way or the other. And the best managers or the best leaders, I would say, are the ones who can manage both. You know, they want to see the individual creativity and the personality of the team come out. But then on the other end, they're also able to, you know, efficiently put together game plans and X's and O's and go out and strategically win games. And so I think there's an air of confidence. You could say arrogance. I mean, you look at, you know, the United States. I think a lot of people would just naturally be inclined to go that way. But I think this is just a product of Emma Hayes, just letting the kids play, letting the young ones have fun, be together, build that camaraderie that is on a different level in comparison to what we see on our men's national team. It's just they're so much closer and they play with each other so much more often. And a lot of them are right here in the United States. So let the kids have fun. Let them be individually express them. Let them do the dances. Let them do the things. But also know when it's time to buckle in and go out and get the job done. And I think Emma Hayes has a good sense of the ability to do both. And so I think that's, you know, it doesn't have to be all business all the time if you know exactly what you have at your disposal. And right now she's using everyone in the right spots and they're winning games. So there is a fine line. I do see what you mean, but, you know, between, you know, rubbing it in and just being confident and having fun. But I don't foresee, you know, if they were to play Spain in a knockout game late in the 27 World Cup, or if they're in the, She Believes Cup final. I don't see this team, having the same sort of loosey goosey, approach to their post goal celebrations, but they're always going to be loose and confident. I like that about this team.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't think these two results really don't move the needle at all. I mean, I was scrolling through
No,
the
of
rankings
course.
there, and Chile and Paraguay were like 50 and 52 in the world, and USA obviously number 2 right now. So I would like to
Hmm.
see, because Canada, they're in the top 10. I think the She Believes is North America and South America. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one, but no, Brazil's up there
Yep.
as well as a good team that they could face. I want to see this team play. Obviously, we saw them in the Olympics. What was that, 2 years ago now? Where they won
Yep.
the whole thing and then won the gold medal, whatever it is. I'd like to see them play against some real competition since then, because obviously, I feel like they kind of that tournament, because again, the Gold Cup or not the Gold Cup, the Olympics for men's and women's is a very different story. The
Yeah.
Olympics for the men's is you can only bring in 3 senior players and you play a whole bunch of under 21s or 23s, whatever it is. For the women's side, it's you can play your full senior national team. That's a massive difference. So obviously the Olympics for the women's side and the men's side are 2 different stories where you can
Yeah.
actually put some weight on it. And I remember in the early, when the 2012 Olympics, that was after we just lost to Japan in the World Cup final. We go on and win the gold medal against Japan, and that meant a lot. And then they go on and then eventually win the next World Cup, and then they're the next 2 World Cups actually, but struggle in the Olympics, and then they struggled in the Olympics, and then even in the World Cup. So I think that the gold medal, I keep wanting to say Gold Cup, but gold medal a couple of years ago, I think got their swagger back, kind of, maybe have opened their eyes to everything the rest of the world, that the rest of the world is 100% catching up. And let's not kid ourselves that the world is definitely catching up to us. I don't know why
Yeah.
people don't like to say that, but it is. And I
Hmm.
think Emma Hayes is doing a really good job. I think when they're playing these bad teams, I think they are 100% able to let loose. But again, I want to see this team play against some tougher competition.
Yeah, and I think they will. And like I said, I like seeing the confidence in the swagger and all those things, because I do think it's just what makes them them. And they're taking a much younger approach. They're expanding their base, so they're doing the things that they need to do to put themselves in the right position. I also think this highlights the importance of the NWSL holding on to someone like Trinity Rodman. I mean, when we make the argument that the rest of the world is catching up, they're catching up in talent, but they're also catching up in popularity. We see the growth of many of the women's leagues across the world that are catching up to the NWSL. So we talked about yesterday, when it came to Major League Soccer, how they're in the business of protecting their assets and retaining their stars as much as they can. I know it makes the league look good when players go over to Europe, but it also reduces the level of talent in your league. So I think the NWSL being able to hold on to Trinity Rodman is actually a very good thing, and it's going to be a very good thing in the long run for the U.S. women's national team, and just for the American game. Not a good look at first, not bringing her back. It took probably a little bit longer than what a lot of people wanted it to take, because it seemed obvious to me and to you and to everybody else that you need to hold on to someone like Trinity Rodman. But I think it's good that we're keeping her in America, playing in the American game. And then now, obviously, what she's doing with the U.S. women's national team, it's only going to help them get stronger, and she's going to be a headliner going into future international matchups in the She Believes Cup. So we're going to be giving you guys full coverage of all that, by the way, talking about that team as they pursue that cup right here on Inside the Game.
Yeah,
But
they don't play
yeah, I
till
mean, I think,
March, but they got some good.
yeah,
Canada's in the top 10, Colombia's in the top 20, and
yep.
then Argentina's outside the top 20, but definitely some good competition. We'll see how legit this team really is.
What is the top five, out of curiosity? Who's number one? Spain?
Spain,
Is Spain number one? Yeah.
Spain,
Okay.
U.S., Germany, England, and annoying ass Chloe Kelly, and then Sweden number 5. And Chloe Kelly's an
What?
Arsenal fan, for the people out there that don't think I have a bias towards it. She's annoying. God. The first
Really?
time was so
You don't like
nice,
her
we had to
coverage?
do it twice. Shut up. God. So annoying. God, that chick's so annoying. She's an
Man,
Arsenal
this
player,
cough needs
too.
to. Mm.
Love
This
the
cough
memes
needs
of
to
her
go
too, by
away.
the way. She's so annoying. God.
You've been making me laugh too much during these episodes, and my cough just keeps coming back up time and time again. But let's take a break here on the National Soccer Network. When we come back, we'll talk about Pellegrino Matarazzo back in the news. But very first, let's talk to you about these camps that we got coming up this summer. First, we'll tell you about FC Bayern coming to the United States. Proud sponsor of the National Soccer Network, fostering football excellence across North America. Open to boys and girls of all skill levels, FC Bayern camps deliver elite training inspired by Bayern Munich's world-class philosophy. Select your city, start a promising soccer path, and right now save $30 on registration by using promo code BayernNSN30. That's Bayern NSN30. You scan the QR code on your screen. Learn more at fcbayernyouth.com. Welcome back. Inside the Game, episode 218, here on the National Soccer Network. Talking about a little soccer ball today. We just got done talking about the U.S. women's national team. Shutout win over Chile. Some soccer ball. Absolutely. You're so put off by me this morning. Let's talk about Pellegrino Matarazzo, though.
We can't be roasting Pat McAfee a couple weeks ago about his soccer terminology when we got people on the show calling soccer ball. We can't be having it both ways.
You know, sometimes I'd just be poking and prodding you a little bit. You know, I like seeing your reactions to some of these things. That's what I'm trying. Okay. Yeah. I'm trying to get away from it.
Can't be.
It's the hockey terminology. The hockey terminology always catches up to me in the play-by-play. And that's I guess that's the beauty of just being in the play-by-play space, because you do so many different sports and so many different games. I can't tell you how many times I've said dugout accidentally on volleyball broadcasts, because volleyball is typically the first, because you do 100 baseball games during the summer and you get conditioned to say dugout every damn game. So, you know, running out of the dugout. No, they're not. It's actually a volleyball game, Nate. This is your first non-baseball game in 5 months. So, you know, it happens. You know, I also say ball game a lot, which, like, ball game doesn't really ring the same for other sports outside of baseball. Like
how do you use it, though?
I guess
because, like, you can use ball game. Like, all right, ladies and gentlemen, we got a ball game.
Just in that way. Okay, yeah, good. No, that's a good example for sure.
You
like
can
a
use
close
that.
game.
You can
Yeah,
use it
you
that
can
way.
use it. Yeah, sure. But no, I refer to the game as a ball game, you know. So like basketball would not be considered a ball game. Anyways, terminology is weird, okay? I'm growing, I'm getting better, okay? End line, touch line, the 18, you know, off the framework, okay? Like,
Do you know where the touch line is?
The touch line?
Yeah, you know what the touch line is.
Isn't it just the sidelines? Hey, thanks.
There we go.
Yep. Okay. Thank you. And the end line is obviously the one where it's either a goal kick or a corner kick, right?
Yes.
Yes. Woo!
There we go.
And the 18 big box thing, where the goalie is. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
What's the little box
yeah.
inside the 18?
Uh, the crease.
Oh gosh. That'd be the 6-yard box. That'd be the 6. Which I don't understand. Which I don't understand why there's a box inside the box. Never understood that. Maybe I mean it looks cooler, I guess, but I never understood that.
There's
Maybe there's
never.
a I'll find a reason. AI can
Well,
tell us something.
doesn't it have to do well? No, because the goalie can't come off his line for a PK. So like, is it just for like people lining up on like set like corner kicks or something? Like you can't be inside that
Oh, it's for
6 yard
goal it's
box.
for goal kick specifically. Yeah, I never like actually. I guess that makes sense. Oh, and then indirect
Oh,
free kicks. Okay, that too. Okay, gotcha.
so I got a question. Why don't more players? And I know we're getting off track here. Why don't more players like pressure goalies on like goal kicks? Like try to like get in their way or like interrupt them when they're like
Well,
gonna like send the ball downfield in like a deep kick or whatever.
I
Like why
so
does I mean, I guess retreating would put you in better position to not be like out of position or like overly aggressive, but like
so
why
you're asking on a goal kick restart why people don't pressure the ball. Is that what you're asking?
yeah, or like when a goalkeeper will like rugby punt it out past the midfield stripe.
Well, you have to allow the goalkeeper to punt the
Space.
ball. You have to allow them to punt because if you don't allow them to punt, it's a yellow card. And then
Oh,
on a
okay.
goal kick restart, you're not allowed in the box on a goal kick restart. Once if they play the ball short to someone in the box, like a defender of theirs or a teammate of theirs, yes, you can immediately start pressuring that. But when the ball is on the 6-yard line, to not allow as a restart, you cannot go in the box. So that is why there's no pressure
Mm,
there. But no, you
okay.
can't. You have to allow them to punt. It's basically like football, except no 15-yard penalty for running or roughing, 5-yard penalty or 15-yard penalty for roughing or running into the kicker.
Mm, okay. All right. Yeah, all right, that makes sense. Um through ball. I've learned about through balls. Good build.
Yeah.
So anyways, yeah, I'm getting there, Ryan. All right. Slowly but surely I'm getting there.
Hell yeah.
But let's talk about the next one on this list. Pellegrino Matarazzo wins La Liga Coach of the Month. Not a lot of people talking about it, or so it looks like, but ended up taking home Manager of the Month. Ryan, you put at the end of this talking point that not a lot of people are talking about it. Why do you think that is?
Because he doesn't have MLS ties. Like if you look at all of his coaching ties, Matarazzo has a whole bunch of Germany ties, a whole bunch of Italy ties, and now obviously Spain. But if you look at the teams he's managed, Hoffenheim, Stuttgart, there's another one in there I'm blanking on. But and then obviously now you have Real Sociedad, which right now he's got 4 wins, 1 draw. I guess you could count maybe 3 wins, 2 draws because one of them was in a cup game, but he won in a penalty shootout. So obviously you count that as a win. But that one draw, that lone draw was to Atletico Madrid. Good point, good result. And then you beat Barcelona with Lamine Yamal. Great result. And if you think about it, I think Sociedad was 4 points from the drop. Now that's now up to six, I believe, from the drop now. So he's building a little bit of momentum. Is it a new manager bump? You could argue that, but he's getting results done right now. And I think the reason he is not talked about is because he doesn't have an MLS. He never coached in college. He never coached in the MLS ranks. He started everything overseas in Germany. He tried to make. I know he graduated from university here and then went overseas to play a semi-pro professional career, whatever it was in Italy, and then he just started coaching there. So everything he's done in terms of a professional soccer standpoint, whether that's coaching or playing, it's all been overseas. Obviously, he was born in New Jersey, so he is an American, but everything's been outside of that. So I believe that if Matarazzo decided to not go overseas, maybe play a little bit professionally in the MLS, or actually I don't even know if the MLS existed when he was doing all that fun stuff. But if he started coaching for the LAFC or the LA Galaxy or the New York Red Bulls or something, especially at the youth level and eventually making his way up, I think he 100% gets talked about a lot more. And like, look at Jesse Marsh for example. He's talked about all the time, and he coached at the New York Red Bulls, and ultimately going overseas and doing his thing now, the manager of Canada. Jesse Marsh is mentioned so many times, but Pellegrino Matarazzo is doing a phenomenal job with Real Sociedad right now, and the only reason he is not talked about is because of his path. And I don't think I think a lot of the media likes to talk about, their own guys. Like at Detroit, for example, we always like our own guys. We don't like to branch out a little bit. So you're not going to talk about your own guys, and I think that's 100% not. I think that's the reason why he's not talked about. But he's doing a phenomenal job. So I don't understand why he's not talked about when you're getting the results. I don't understand why it's not talked about. I think if he somehow managed the U.S. men's national team prior to this, I think it would have been talked about. But for some reason, he didn't do anything in the U.S. I mean, that's not a wrong pathway, but he didn't do anything in the U.S., and I think that he should be talked about, and he's not.
He should at least be noticed. And I mean, that's the
Yeah.
benefit of having shows like ours. That's the benefit of having, some of these other pages. I follow US men's national team only on X, a couple of other pages that are based American based, but obviously they talk about the influence of people that were born here in the US that have made their biggest impact elsewhere. A player comparison that comes to my mind is Flo Balogun. I mean, he was born here in the U.S., but he was 2, 3 years old when his family moved overseas. And then obviously it kind of grew up in the French school of thought, but has made waves over in Europe. There's a lot of players that were born here, a lot of American influence that they were born here in the United States, but they've made their move elsewhere. They've developed elsewhere in other schools of thought, and he's another example of that. But just because the media, the mass media doesn't necessarily pick it up and you're not seeing it everywhere, that's why shows like these are important, because we're going to give someone like that the platform and the recognition that they deserve and everything that you just described. And everywhere that he's gone, the club has number one, they've established a cultural identity, but number two, they've won. Everywhere he's gone, he's made a positive impact in every single stop along the way after getting that early development. He's a brilliant soccer mind. And my thing is if the United States has not already looked into him potentially coming back and being a
They
part of
have.
this, they have. Maybe he just doesn't, maybe it doesn't sit well with them that he doesn't have, number one, any interest in doing it. And it very well could be that he doesn't have any interest in doing that in the future, that it's just not something that's on his radar right now. And so, there could be a sense of not disrespect, but almost like you're not one of us. And so that could play into why the bigger outlets just don't necessarily want to talk about it or focus on it. Obviously it's a cool thing to have. It is only 1 month. There's still a lot left to be decided, but the truth is that if he doesn't have any interest in coming back to the United States or being a part of this or really investing at all in USA soccer, that probably just doesn't sit well with them. That would be my thought. But not to say he doesn't deserve recognition, because like I've said, everywhere, every stop he's been, they've won. And this is just the latest example of that.
Yeah, so he was offered the job and he turned it down to stay at Hoffenheim. Look, the guy's still 48, so he's got a long ways to go, and we already talked about it.
Yeah.
Pochettino's gone this year. He's gone at some point. Even if we somehow win the World Cup, he's gone regardless. We all know this. Pochettino was brought here to manage us in the World Cup, get everything kind of stabilized. I think Pochettino has kind of been the bridge. He'll be the bridge manager for this. I think between Berhalter and he'll be the bridge, get us in the World Cup, and then it's a little bad to say if you really think about it that we have a bridge manager managing us in the probably the most important World Cup, most important year of our entire existence. But
Yeah.
Matarazzo is a manager. I mean, you can even throw Jesse Marsh. I think those two are managers that could eventually manage the USA at some point in time. It won't be for a while, and I don't even know if they would take the job. I mean, Marsh obviously still with Canada, regardless of what he does. But I don't even think Matarazzo
Yeah.
would take the job this year, depending on how everything goes with Sociedad. I think the only way Matarazzo takes this job is if he doesn't have one at the current time, and I think you need both things to align. That there's a job opening and he
Yeah.
doesn't have it, and I can't hate on it that the fact that he said no and wanted to focus on a pro or a club managerial career. I can't knock that. I mean, the guy has a plan, and maybe he likes just being a club manager rather than an international manager, because we talked about the differences. The international manager, you kind of have only like 5 or 6 real opportunities to prove yourself a year. Whereas as a club manager, maybe he wants to have that little bit more control, have a say in things on a day-to-day basis constantly, because you're playing 9, 10 months out of the year. So excuse me, you're given more opportunity to really showcase what you can do. But no, I really hope that this does not become a new manager bump for Sociedad. It's a good club. They lost a couple of players over the recent years. Shout out Martin Zubimendi, absolute dog. But no, I hope that he continues this thing going, because the more that we can get these managers, as important as it is for these American players to dominate over in Europe, I think it's as equally as important as we get a couple managers here and there to start doing their thing over in Europe as well. To shout out Jesse Marsch and shout out Pellegrino Monterrazzo.
Yeah, and I mean the other thing that you mentioned is job security. I mean that's something that I think a lot of people take into account when they make these decisions. He probably feels a little more secure in his club role than he would feel in leading the U.S. men's national team, just because again it is a situation that is constantly evolving, constantly moving. It's a club that has underperformed on the biggest stages of the world, and so the amount of immense pressure that you have as a manager to win with this team, and again, and getting limited opportunities, as you mentioned, all of that plays a role. All that plays into making that decision. So I think it's something that was probably seriously weighing on his mind. When you talk about Jesse Marsch, I don't think Jesse Marsch is. I think Jesse Marsch is a little bitter that he didn't get the job in the first place. So I don't
Yeah,
see him coming back from Canada and coaching the U.S. men's national team, especially if the Canadians find a way to have a relative level of success in the World
they
Cup. I think they
sucked in
love
the
him up
last
there,
one,
and
that's for sure.
I mean, he's from Michigan, so I mean, he was nearly there anyways. So I think he likes his spot. I mean, I sensed a certain level of bitterness from him, especially going back to those matchups of us playing them. Mostly because the U.S. men's national team or USA Soccer, I don't know if they really gave him a fair shake during the interview process, and I still think he should have been the guy. I love what Pochettino's done lately, but I still think in hindsight he should have been the guy. But either way, I don't necessarily see him coming back and taking it. But job security is another thing. There's a lot of pressure on the shoulders of American managers to do something, because Americans expect a winner. We
Yeah, I would
expect a
agree.
winner.
But I think it's important to note that when Marsh was given the Canada job, that was when Berhalter wasn't sacked yet. So there's that. And I don't necessarily think you're ever going to take an international man. I don't think you're ever going to hire a club manager to the international game if they already have a job with the club. It's just the way it is. It's almost like, yeah, it's like college football. You're not
Yeah,
going to hire a college football. You're not going to hire a college or an NFL head coach who currently has a job into college football, unless for some reason they're coaching the Jets or the Browns or something. There's I guess there's a couple of spots
right.
that could happen, but I think it's a more lucrative, sought out job as a club job, because of you can get more opportunities elsewhere. There's obviously way more club teams than there is international teams, and you get more chances to prove yourself. Like we talked about it,
Yeah,
you get 5 or 6 a year if you're an international manager. September window, October window, November window, March, and then kind of the if you're playing in the World Cup or the Gold Cup or the Euros or Copa America, whatever it is in the summer. So maybe 5, and then maybe you have some friendlies in June or something. So no, there or the Nations League or whatever. So there's only a couple opportunities a year, and that I think that doesn't sit well with some managers, because
yeah,
you don't have as many opportunities. And if you're a a proper soccer nation like a Brazil, an England, an Argentina, a Germany, if it doesn't look well in 3 or 4 of those windows, you might be sacked. You might be fired, and it's I think it's a tough pill to swallow for some managers. And the fact is you can't really you can't really improve the squad if that makes sense. Like you can't you have the pool of players you have,
Yeah,
and
right.
you can recruit some dual nationals. Sure, you can recruit a couple, but you can't go out every summer and buy a couple players for 50 million, 60 million, 70 million, whatever it is. You can't go in January, sign a couple people on loan, maybe sign a couple, but you're kind of just stuck with the pool of players that you have. And I
Yeah.
just think it's a tough pill to swallow that in for some of these club managers.
And I think it would be odd to expect Pellegrino Matarazzo to not have a job or to have an area where he doesn't have a job, and we're looking to fill a vacancy with that head managerial position. So that's the part where it's, in order for the stars to perfectly align, they would almost have to perfectly align for the U.S. to have a chance to get someone like Pellegrino Matarazzo if he does have interest in coming back. So again, this all raises the question of who's up next if Poach is gone. And we both think that it's a foregone conclusion that he will be gone. It's just a matter of time, right? Even if we do succeed in the World Cup, I think it would be a shock to the system of soccer fans here in the United States and really abroad too, if he were to stick around for the long haul. He doesn't seem like a long haul manager. It's very clear that US soccer made this decision with the intention of trying to win now, trying to take advantage of 2026. And obviously what happens the next 4 years, after that, we can figure out when we get there.
I'd say I don't necessarily. I get what you're saying with the win now. I get that, but I mean, we're not going to win anything if that makes any sense. Like I think if we look at it, Pochettino's not going to have won anything. Like you look at the Nations League last year, you look at the Gold Cup this year, and obviously he's not going to win the World Cup. The sole purpose, I think, of why Pochettino is here, I think the reason Pochettino was hired is so we don't get embarrassed at the World Cup, because we don't want a repeat of what happened at Copa America where we get grouped. We lose to a Panama at home because Tim Weah decided to punch a dude. We'd lose to Uruguay at home and we get grouped. Like the whole Uruguay game for Berhalter was to save his job. He didn't get it done. And you can argue why it was even brought back in the first place. You can argue that, but I think the whole reason why Pochettino is here is so we don't get embarrassed. Obviously, the goal is to win a World Cup. That's for every team, and that's going into the World Cup. But you have to have, at some point as a fan, you have to have some real expectations that we aren't going to win the World Cup. Look, my expectation for this team right now, get to a quarterfinal, and I think that's successful because there is a 100% pathway we can get to a quarterfinal, and it's an easier path. But it all starts with topping the group, because you play a third-place team in the round of 32 if you top the group, and then you play in the round of 16 the winner of like one of the weaker groups in first place. So there is 100% a pathway that you can get to a quarterfinals without even really playing anybody. And whether you can say that's rigged or not, that's up to you. But just based on some of the groups, you can maybe make a case that thing could have been rigged. But the sole reason he's here is so we don't get embarrassed again on home soil in front of the entire world, where millions, it actually could be billions by the end of it, billions of people, because over a billion people watched the Argentina final against France. So billions of people watch us. And what does the rest of the world want to see? They want to see America embarrassed in front of everybody, especially in sports. And what's the one sport that we are very vulnerable at, and especially we can get embarrassed of? The world's game, soccer. And that's what a lot of people want to see.
Well done. Yeah, that's great, man. I love it. Hey, they've given the U.S. every single potential leg up that they can with the cup draw, with everything that we've seen. I don't know if I would necessarily say rigged. I love my conspiracies, and I also love it when it helps out my team. But they've given them every single potential advantage that they could ask for, and so we'll see how it plays out here for the U.S. We'll step aside. One last segment coming up here in hour one. Talk a little bit about Malik Tillman winning man of the match the other day. First 2 goals in 7 matches with that club. He's looking better. Just another update on another American player really standing out. But that's coming up next here on Inside the Game.
Experience the thrill of the game like never before with NSN's Game Rewind. Dive into full match commentaries enhanced with cutting-edge dynamic graphics,
letting you relive the highs and lows of your favorite matches in astonishing detail.
Whether it's a championship win or a legendary play,
NSN Game Rewind bridges the past and future with a broadcast experience designed to captivate.
Call 586-304-4405
and start watching today.
Final segment here in hour number 1 of Inside the Game. We're back in here on the National Soccer Network talking a little bit. I know we do our overseas overview sometimes. Wanted to talk about one player specifically. That's Malik Tillman, who got man of the match the other day for his squad. He's been looking really good. Had 2 goals in the first half of that game. He's playing for Leverkusen, but 2 goals in 7 matches for that squad. I had both yesterday and ended up getting man of the match. Malik Tillman's another one of those players in that in the pantheon, in the conversation of who's made the biggest impact on this U.S. men's national team over the course of the last year. He was obviously in the running for that honor that Chris Richards was given as the U.S. men's national team player of the year. He has 3 goals in 6 matches with the U.S. men's national team. And he was on, I believe, both of our starting 11s, if I'm not mistaken, our projected starting 11s for the U.S. men's national team. Maybe, I can't remember. Yours did not feature Malik Tillman. But I think, in terms of the groups of players that have made the biggest impact, and I remember you posting that video about Chris Richards, and people were like, well, Pulisic clears. Yeah, but that's not the point, right? The point of that award was who made the biggest impact on the national team, not necessarily what they're doing at their club. Who's in the best form right now? You could say Weston McKennie. You could say Christian Pulisic. Those are 2 very motivated players that are going to make a big-time difference, and both are going to be heavily involved at the World Cup. But Malik Tillman is another one of those players that I think, Ryan, he's done it on both fronts. He's made an impact in the U.S. men's national team, and now we're seeing what he's done with Leverkusen since joining them in 7 matches. Obviously, just started yesterday in terms of the goal scoring, but he's another one of those centerpieces, one of those players for this team that I would consider in that group of impactful players that I think can really make an impact in 26.
Yeah, no, you're right. He came up with some big goals in the Gold Cup. But again, you can also argue that it's just the Gold Cup and it wasn't against some big-time teams. You can 100% argue that if you want. Look, he's he's brought in $40 million from PSV to Leverkusen, and yes, 2 goals yesterday. One of them was he was pressing the goalkeeper and he deflected it off him, but the second one was really good from just inside the 18. Very good goal. But Tillman, he's been put in a rough spot here because Leverkusen is from that whole unbeaten squad 2 years ago with Florian Wirtz, Frimpong, Hincapié, Granit Xhaka, all those players. They're all gone. So it's been a massive rebuild. To think that a team 2 years ago went undefeated and beat Bayern Munich finally to win the Bundesliga. He's been put in a rough spot here, and he has not scored since November 22nd. Before that one against Wolfsburg, and before that it was September 22nd. So it's been a little rough go for him, I would say. But yesterday he gets two two nice goals in the Champions League, and the fact that I think 5 or 6 Americans started yesterday in the Champions League.
Yeah.
Balogun, Dest, McKennie, Tim Weah, and then Tillman.
Weah.
Obviously,
Yep.
it's something good to mention. But Tillman, he needed those 2 goals for himself. I thought in Leverkusen, a team that's been struggling regardless. I haven't even checked where they are in the Champions League standings, but. No, I think that is 2 very important goals. You think that could be potentially a confidence booster for Malik Tillman, but he's struggled as of late. But he gets 2 goals, especially in a big spot in the Champions League. Villarreal too. They're not a slouch either. But no, good to finally see him get some confidence. Hopefully, he's able to build on this, especially with Bundesliga play. And look, even though he has not scored. He's played in virtually every single game, whether that is a full 90 minutes or a half hour, 40 minutes coming off the bench. So he's still getting a ton of playing time. The manager over there rates him, but good to finally see him get some goals.
And for Tim Weah, not as fortunate. His team knocked out in goal differential following Surreal and just basically influential events. The Benfica Real Madrid game. Weah, is this Marseille? Is that how you pronounce
Marseille.
that?
It's,
Marseille, that is.
France.
Thought they had scrapped through to the playoff round despite losing 3-0 at Belgium's side. And club, how do you pronounce that? Brugge?
Who? What'd you say?
Brugge.
Oh, Club Brugge.
Bruges?
Club
Bruges, that's
They're
what
in
it
Belgium.
is. Okay. All right. Figured it out. Belgian side. But held that 24th and final knockout position as the last remaining match went deep into stoppage time. But 98th minute goal that helped lift them past that one. So unfortunate for Tim Weah in that matchup.
The
so,
Benfica one. That's the one that might sting because the goalie scored the 94th minute winner to send Benfica in the knockouts. But no, I think that Again, I'm still not a fan of this whole new Champions League format with all this. I think they should have just stayed with the 4 groups, and the top 2 obviously go into the round of 16. But obviously, we all know how this world works, and money talks, and soccer is the biggest example of this, if not maybe second, because I feel like the college football playoff and college football is becoming that sport really in terms of money talking.
Yeah.
But no, it's unfortunate for some of them, but there's also a couple of players that will be playing in the Champions League throughout the rest of the way.
Looking at the upcoming schedule for the U.S. men's national team at Belgium, that one coming up later on in March. So that's the 28th for them. Obviously booked Senegal, as we talked about. That's in May the 31st. March the 31st, though, they got Portugal. So big international windows. And so we're going to do a lot of talking about, how they're performing leading up to it, kind of look across the way at how our boys are performing overseas. But, good little stretch yesterday for Malik Tillman. And I know you talked about how it's really been a cold stretch for him, but hopefully that's a sign of him turning things around in the right direction. Got about 12 minutes left here in our first hour of the show. Anything else you wanted to work in, Ryan?
Yeah. So one thing that's going on at the National Soccer Network, and we've got a couple of these already, is if you're a senior that is playing the game of soccer right now, we have a NSN senior spotlight going on. This is our first one with Callum Ewing. He's like down South Georgia area, somewhere in there. Basically, if you send some information, you can check out more information on the National Soccer Network /Senior Spotlight. You'd be shown on all of our broadcasts, just about what high school you're going to. Maybe you committed somewhere for school, but showing a little bit of love for all that. Maybe we can even show you on the show in anything cool like that. Also, I think there's something with the digital magazine you'd be put on too. But no, this is where you can you can showcase some of your senior spotlights. This is the first one that we've officially made. I think there's a couple more in the works. When I talked to John yesterday, just a matter of putting them up on the screen, creating them all for you. But no, this is if you have a senior that's playing soccer, you can absolutely do a little senior spotlight for them. Give them a little bit of love and all that fun stuff. I mean, I wish I had this when I was playing soccer, and that'd be pretty sweet. I didn't get any senior love when I was playing the game of soccer. So a really good thing to see that we're doing here at the National Soccer Network.
And we've done a lot of work in the state of Michigan in that regard. I know we've spotlighted and highlighted a lot of high school athletes around this area, the first ever do an award show in the state of Michigan, and now obviously branching out to a national platform the way we have this past year really kind of opens us up to the opportunities across the country. And this is a network that continues to grow day in and day out. And so as we continue to add more people, think of it this way. You're almost a pioneer in this way. If you're one of the first features, if you're one of the first spotlights on our platform, we're continuing to build this thing, and we're going to continue to add more. And I think the other big thing to consider is that with the platform that we have on this show, being able to bring people on and interview people as well. The biggest component in getting yourself recognized and putting yourself out there and getting new opportunities is to make yourself available to the media and to make yourself available to opportunities like this. And it was something that I talked about yesterday with high school athletes. The best way to show off your stuff, the best way to be noticed is to get yourself noticed and to put yourself in a position to be noticed. And so that's what we're doing with these senior spotlights. That's what we're giving. We're giving you a platform to not only show off your playing abilities, but everything else that makes you great. And I know Ryan and I have had conversations about who we're going to have on this show moving forward. We got some exciting prospects in terms of interviews. I know Ryan's been reaching out to a few people, and we're obviously putting that list together. But if you want an opportunity to use this platform to talk about your journey, to use this platform to talk about your story coming up in the American soccer ranks, that's what adds to our network, and it adds to our show. I very much enjoy sitting here and just talking with Ryan for 2 hours every morning. It's one of my favorite things to do. It's something that I think some days I consider myself spoiled in the way that this is considered a job, and that I'm actually paid and compensated and in order to do this. It doesn't seem real some days, but the point of doing this again is to spotlight those stories and to give people opportunities, because then the whole point of why we're here is to grow the game in the United States. And the game naturally has done a lot of that. The media has helped. It seems like there's more of a focus on soccer. You're going to see that those efforts increase as we get closer to the World Cup. Because of so many business opportunities and just the economic impact of what the World Cup is going to bring to the United States is massive. So, of course, the media is going to pay attention. Of course, they're going to lock in and give soccer a platform. But the way that we're doing it, kind of like we talked about with how the USL is from a grassroots perspective. Like, we are doing this from the bottom up. And then not to call high school ball the bottom, because it's not. And there are a lot of great players that are going to go on to do great things. But this can be your platform in order to share your story, in order to tell us a little bit more about you, and allow us to be kind of your face and your voice in the soccer space. So I think that's a really cool opportunity.
Some sources here from The Athletic. Middlesbrough has submitted another bid to the Columbus Crew for Max Arfston. That was currently rejected. The Crew is trying to keep Max Arfston. I didn't mean to jump off guard, but a little bit breaking news. Arfston wants to leave and go to European clubs and has drawn interest from multiple European clubs, but the Columbus Crew wants to keep him until the summer. And we know Arfston playing how big he's been with Pochettino since Pochettino has arrived and kind of solidified that 3-for-3. But we could potentially see another U.S. international from the MLS team leave over to a championship side in Middlesbrough. I haven't heard about Middlesbrough in a long time. They've been relegated from the Prem for a while there, but they currently are second in the championship. So potentially, Arfston, if he were to somehow leave, there's only 2 days left here. There's 31 days in January, so 2 days left in January, under 48 hours, where he could make a move. So we could potentially maybe see him in the Premier League if he makes that move, and then eventually could get promoted with Middlesbrough into the Prem. So a good little tidbit there. And then also 2 Americans playing today in Europa League, Austin Trusty and Tanner Tessman. So it's not even just the Champions League. It is also the Europa League where these kids are starting.
Yeah, and Max Arfston, I thought, I don't know what you saw out of him. I thought he looked pretty good. He has really good hair. Does he have that broccoli hair going on. Is that what he got? He got the
No,
old
he's got
Ryan
like
Linsky
flow.
look
He's got like
going
the
on?
flow.
Oh,
And he's got
flow?
a
Oh, okay.
good
All
little
right.
taper fade. And then it's good flow.
I thought he looked good in some of the international windows. I thought he put some assists on a silver platter. So who knows? Yeah, I think he would make a great impact, but it would do a lot for his own reputation to get away from that MLS tag. But hey, let's do this. Let's take a step aside. We'll bring it right back, and then we'll get into our all sports section of our show. The debut of the segment Who to Betta today. We're talking about a couple of different running backs in the National Football League. But first, let's tell you a little bit about Barca Academy, proud sponsor of the National Soccer Network and the official academy of FC Barcelona in the United States. Designed for boys and girls ages 6 to 18, Barca Academy camps follow and replicate the FC Barcelona game model, same philosophy used by Barca's professional squad. Right now, you can save $30 on registration by using promo code FCB30. That's FCB30 or scan the QR code on your screen. Find a camp near you, fcbarcelona.us/camps.
In Barca camp, I sing my song grown on and off of the field. Don't miss the time to register.
Sign up now for Barca camp.
In Barca camp, I sing my song grown on and off of the field. Don't miss the time to register.
Sign up now for Barca camp.
Time for some all sports content here on the National Soccer Network. Inside the Game, Nate Wangler alongside Ryan Glinsky, the debut of our new segment, Who to Betta. Ryan, lay it out for us.
Who to Betta? We're going to take once a week. Today's Thursday, right? Yeah, we're going to take it every Thursday. We're going to take two players from the same sport, similar position. We're not talking LeBron, Jordan. We're not talking Ronaldo, Messi. That's boring. We're going to take some good comparisons, different sports. Honestly, we could do this in the soccer segment. We could do soccer here. We could do basketball, football, NHL, anything. But we're going to start off with some football here today. And who to Betta? Jahmyr Gibbs or Bijan Robinson. I think these two are a very good comparison in terms of running back styles. But we'll take a gander at some of their stats. Jahmyr Gibbs in 2025, 1,200 rushing yards, 5 yards a carry, 13 touchdowns, 600 receiving yards, 5 touchdowns receiving. The Lions' offensive line this past year, 12th. And then 2024, I thought I'd put this in here as well. 1,400 rushing yards, 5.5 yards per carry, 16 touchdowns, 500 receiving yards, 4 touchdowns. And then on the other side for Bijan Robinson and the Atlanta Falcons, 2025 this year, 1,400 rushing yards, almost 1,500, 820 receiving yards, and 4 touchdowns. Led the NFL in all-purpose yards. The offensive line this year ranked 14th in 2024, 1,400 rushing yards, 14 touchdowns, just under 5 yards a touch, 431 receiving yards, and 1 touchdown. So that is the stats and the numbers for Bijan and Jahmyr Gibbs. So the question becomes, who to bet between the two?
It's a tough question, being that those numbers are awfully close from year to year. I think Gibbs had it's a little bit of a better year last year, at least from touchdown perspectives. But, even this season, very similar offensive lines, very similar offensive numbers when you look at that across the board. Obviously, Jahmyr Gibbs was splitting some reps with David Montgomery. I think he got much less touches this year than what he did in the 24 season. I think this question comes down to who stylistically do we like better? And if that's the question, I think there are two very similar runners, but there's also just key differences about them. When I think of Bijan Robinson, I think of durable and I think of workhorse. And those are two things that he's absolutely been. He's someone that they can lean on. He is an explosive runner, yes, but again, I think his durability and his availability is something that has made Bijan Robinson what he has this year, and I think it's made him just an even better runner. But stylistically, you look at Jahmyr Gibbs, I think he's more of an explosive runner than Bijan Robinson is. I think in terms of speed, I think his initial quickness, his first step, I wouldn't say he's not as durable, but obviously he's had the benefit of having David Montgomery behind him. But Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, again, just two different styles, two different ways of looking at those guys. But again, very similar numbers as you had up on the screen. If you were to just give me the choice, choose one, I still think I'm going Jahmyr Gibbs, but I think it's close. It's 1A and 1B in my mind. Like, in terms of elite, it's 1A and 1B with the two. But if I'm going to give the edge to one of those guys, I think Jahmyr Gibbs might be the slightly more explosive runner who can create plays, even despite maybe having a middle-of-the-road offensive line. And we saw that a lot from him this last year. So I'm going to go Jahmyr Gibbs, but not by a lot. I think it's close.
If you were to ask me this question last year, I'd go Jahmyr Gibbs. But I'm going Bijan Robinson this year. I think that you lead the NFL in all-purpose yards. I imagine that's got to carry a little bit of weight. But the only reason I put 2024 stats in there was because to just see, maybe the growth and some of that. Look at the touchdown numbers for Bijan aren't great. Only 7 rushing touchdowns this year. But that's also the Falcons' offense. The Falcons' offense was disjointed a ton. They were mixing in different quarterbacks. Kirk Cousins, who, God, is he annoying. And then Michael Penix Jr. That's not even a Michigan State thing. I just think he's got an annoying voice. Like, Kirk Cousins just pisses me off. I don't know why he constantly gets put in the QB like Netflix documentary. Like, I skip his parts because of how
Kirk O'Chains? With his shirt off and his chain? Come on.
No, it's not that. It's just I find his voice very annoying. Like, it's just he's just talking about a whole bunch of nothing. Like,
I like his humility though.
I can respect his game. I can again, it's not a Michigan State thing, and it's nothing to do with that. Because he's just annoying. Like,
my man drove the van he had in high school until he was like years into his NFL career. Like, I like the humility of him. I like that component. And he's a family guy and he's all those other things. But yeah, from a voice perspective, the "you like that" clip lives rent-free in my head from his time in Washington. That's one of my favorite clips ever. But anyways, go ahead.
But no, I think Bijan is I think he can do it all. I think he can run in between the tackles a little bit better. He can receive the ball, and especially now with Kevin Stefanski in a little bit better offense. Again, you got to see with the offense. You got to find out who your quarterback is too. And he's not had a functional quarterback in his time in Atlanta. I think he had Marcus Mariota for a second. Kirk Cousins was in there. Michael Penix has been in there for the last 2 years or so. So I think Bijan, because like we talk about the Lions offense all the time. We talk about it being a Lamborghini. And, it may have downgraded a little bit this year just based on the offense, but the Lions offense still puts up points. And whether you want to say that, that's just because it's against bad teams, sure, you can put that out there. But the Falcons, they don't put up a whole bunch of points even when they play bad teams. So I think Bijan, I don't want to say Bijan is a Barry Sanders running back or in terms of the situation they're both in terms of what Sanders had with Barry had with the Lions and Bijan with the Falcons. But Bijan's an unbelievable running back. I think he's the best running back in the league. And I think he's just better than Jahmyr Gibbs. And that's not a knock at Jahmyr Gibbs, because I think you could honestly put, I think if you could put Bijan, I think is a clear one, and Jahmyr Gibbs, Saquon, they're all close, but I think Bijan Robinson is a better running back than Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah, well, and the other, the part that you mentioned, the Lions' offensive weapons forces you to respect those weapons, and Jared Goff and his efficiency in throwing
Kyle
the football.
Pitts.
Shout
out all the fantasy football coaches that think
he's
going to be a stud every year.
Yeah, and in order to set up the run game or a successful run game, you have to be able to run play action well. You have to force teams to respect the weapons that you have on the outside, whether that be Amon-Ra St. Brown, whether that be J-Mo. So I think Jahmyr Gibbs has benefited from not only giving up a few touches here or there to David Montgomery, which I think helps with keeping healthy throughout the course of the year, but you're also dealing with an offense that, as you mentioned, has more weapons and a quarterback who's perfectly capable in Jared Goff. So that takes so much pressure off of you as a running back to not have to run through three guys just to get 3 yards, because, again, teams can't stack the box against you, which they can't comfortably against the Lions. They can't do that.
And another thing that I want to put out there is another reason why I put up the 2024 numbers is if we go to 2024, the Lions' offensive line was arguably the best offensive line in the league. I guess you could probably put the Eagles in front of them, but you still had Ragnow, Zeitler, Taylor Decker wasn't dead, Penei Sewell was still a dog, and you still had Glasgow, who wasn't a complete and total bleep hole on the offensive line. And you look at the Falcons, who have had constantly mid-offensive lines, and he still put up over 1,400 yards on the ground and 400 yards receiving. So I think the offensive lines is, especially with running backs and quarterbacks, to me, I think those two are you have to at least put in the debate of the offensive lines, because the offensive line, Jim Harbaugh said it the best. He goes, if I had to put a position group in the NFL, the best position group in all of football that doesn't rely on other positions to do their job, the offensive line is number one. Because if you're able to block, you're able to give your quarterback time, you're able to create open running lanes, the offense is going to function. And you can have Patrick Mahomes back there. You can have you can have Tom Brady back there for all you want, but if you can't block for them or you can't have an efficient running game, it doesn't matter what you have. And you can throw all the wide receivers out there. You can have Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. You can have Calvin Johnson out there for all I care. And if you don't have a successful, efficient offensive line, you're not doing anything. So I think that's why you have to at least put the offensive line in this discussion,
absolutely,
in this debate, because the numbers are pretty similar even when Jahmyr Gibbs has an absolute dog of an offensive line. So I think Bijan Robinson is the better back than Gibbs. But again, if you asked me this question at this time last year, I think I would say Jahmyr Gibbs. But based on this last year, I think Bijan Robinson is a better overall back.
Well, and if we're going by the numbers, again, you have to remember they're running a two-back system, and they were running a two-back system. So that means you're going to get about half, or at least a portion of those touches that you would have otherwise gotten.
Montgomery wasn't used much this year. If we're
not this year, you're right, but you were talking about last year where the offensive line was, and
that has a little bit more weight, I would say.
Probably make a little bit more of that argument. But no, dude, the offensive line is having a good offensive line makes everything go. It's one of those points that we beat into the ground time and time again, because it's the universal truth. And it's one of the reasons why I am just amazed when I really sit back and think about it. If we're talking GOAT level here, running back position in the NFL, it's Barry Sanders. But Barry Sanders did all of that with a garbage offensive line essentially his entire career in Detroit.
Exactly.
I mean, he was running for his life, but he was creating these runs out of nothing from scratch. And so when you go back and you watch his highlights, that's what I think adds to just how unbelievable his career was. But the other part of it is too, and we always have this conversation, like if he had the same offensive line that Emmitt Smith had in Dallas, like how many career yards would Barry Sanders have had?
More. Like
a million.
Like if Barry Sanders was on a functional organization and had a functional offensive line, even if it's like the middle of the pack offensive line, he blows Emmitt Smith out. And that's why I don't like Emmitt Smith's better than Barry Sanders because of he has the all. No, it's not. You also got to look at Emmitt Smith's team. Arguably one of the best offensive lines of all time. You had Troy Aikman, who, mind you, the Cowboys lost the Lions in the playoffs. That was like our last playoff win up until the Rams a couple of years ago and the Bucs a couple of years ago. And you still had Michael Irvin out there. You had so many dogs all over the place.
Yeah.
And Emmitt Smith was just the product of an elite team and an elite offensive line. And that's not a knock on the guy. You can't just fault him because he was drafted by a great organization at the time. Now it's a different story with the Cowboys. But at the time, you were put in a great spot. It's not his fault he got drafted there. It's not his fault that, other teams passed on him. Would Emmitt Smith have been still a solid running back even if he wasn't put on the Cowboys? Yeah, I believe so. I think he still would have been a really good back, but he's not the greatest running back of all time. Walter Payton's better than him. Barry's better than him. Heck, let's put Bijan Robinson. I'm just kidding. We can't put Bijan Robinson. Could you argue Saquon Barkley? I mean, maybe. I mean, Saquon Barkley had no offensive line and no offense in his first handful of years with the Giants. You put him with arguably the best offensive line in the Eagles in 1 year. He has one of the best running back seasons ever. And he wins a damn Super Bowl. So, no, I hate the whole Emmitt Smith, like, he did this, he did that, like, his offensive line was so good, all this. Or he was so good, he's such a tough, physical runner. Yeah, he showed up in some spots, but you know what? When you have that type of an offensive line, you have that type of quarterback, and you have the weapons on the outside that people have to respect, it's so much easier.
That's why these GOAT conversations are always tough, especially in the sport of football, because it is really like the ultimate team sport in my mind. And I know I'm a little biased because I played once upon a time, but like there's so many different players that have to do their jobs well in order to make everybody else around them play better. The offensive line obviously being the biggest of which. And so, no, you laid out a good conversation for Bijan Robinson. I think it's close, obviously, as we've talked about. But no, the offensive line makes all the difference in the world. But unfortunately, for the GOATs, like the conversation of who was around them is always going to it's this weird dichotomy because you're going to win more with great players around you. You're not going to win nearly as much with bad players around you. But when we look back at history and we start making comparisons, then those types of things come up and we consider, well, what was the team? Who was the group? Who was around them? It's the reason why I think, Bron is the best basketball player of all time, because Michael Jordan had superstars around him because they were still getting into the playoffs even when he wasn't there. They weren't winning it. Obviously, Houston became the best team. But, yeah, he had Rodman. He had Pippen.
And?
Those are three Hall of Famers that I just listed right there. Jordan, Rodman, and Pippen.
What happened to
Tony
this team?
Kukoc.
Well, Ilgauskas is already a Hall of Famer, so there's that. Or what about not 5, not 6, not 7?
All right,
Bosh,
fair.
Wade,
yeah, he choked
all of a
away
sudden,
the Mavs.
Who I think, if Kyrie Irving wasn't such a bleep hole and so weird, Kyrie Irving would be arguably one of the best point guards ever. But he's such a bleep hole and so weird that
can't stay healthy either.
Exactly. So,
but
Kyrie,
he is kind of a
Kyrie,
he's kind of a douche.
K-Love, AD, the legendary Bronny James, like. There's more Hall
Hey,
of
man.
Famers and All-Stars LeBron's played with than MJ. Just putting it out there.
Bryce is going to be a lot better than Bronny. Count
He
my
doesn't
words.
play at Arizona. Just sitting there.
Bryce?
Bryce?
Yeah, Bryce. Young Bryce. Not. How old is Bryce James? Not Bronny, his younger brother. The one that looks like LeBron. He's built like a brick.
Bryce is 18, but he hasn't
All right.
played at all. He hasn't played. He has not recorded a minute for Arizona this year, and Arizona is probably the best team in college basketball. Doesn't play. He's just there.
He's a freshman, man. Hey, okay, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Trey McKinney's playing.
It's hard to follow up the chosen one, but anyways, no, I just thought I would poke fun at you because I know I had a feeling that you were a Jordan guy. I had a feeling that you would go Jordan in that conversation. No, man, I just think no one's done it better for longer than LeBron. So, but anyways,
this whole load management BS.
Hey, come on, it's just different. Medicine has told us that they need breaks. I mean, if he wants to make his career last, he's made it last long enough to play with his son. That's what makes me feel like the end is coming.
His son
because
wouldn't
I thought
even
that was
be in
the
the
entire.
NBA if his dad wasn't LeBron James.
I get it, but I think that was the final act for LeBron is to get Bronny into the league so he can
He's
just play
playing with
him.
Luka right now. That's another Hall of Famer. I forgot about Luka, and that was a forced trade by Adam Silver.
He's also like 48 million years old, Ryan, and still playing. I mean, and producing, mind you, at his age. It's anyways.
Yeah,
I know the
you get
game's changed.
breathed on, it's a foul. There's free throws and gather steps and Euros that didn't exist. And
Man,
sure.
man.
Hey, when
you sound like my father right now.
When you lose a finals to J.J. Barea, Jason Terry, and Dirk Nowitzki when your team is Chris Bosh, Dwayne Wade, and LeBron, and you score 6 points in a finals game, yeah, you can't talk to me. But 3-run comeback. Well, Draymond Green
Dirk,
being suspended. The block's overrated.
Don't disrespect Dirk, man. Dirk, that was the most legendary
That's the only guy on the team.
NBA Finals run of all time.
That was the only kid on the team.
No, I get it.
You can't lose to a white point guard named J.J. Barea. And Jason
Barea
Terry.
was the truth back in the day.
Oh, and
Jason Terry was pretty damn good.
And the reason why the Mavs were so pissed off in that series is because LeBron had to cough and make fun of Dirk, and then all of a sudden it pissed everybody off because LeBron thought he was sweet. Also, mind you, LeBron has to leave different areas to go win stuff. Just saying.
Yeah, you're right. Definitely different. Let's take a break here on Inside the Game. You got more stuff coming up on the other end of this break. But again, we've been talking about these summer camps. Man City, a proud sponsor of the National Soccer Network, bringing world-class training inspired by Man City's global football philosophy to players across the United States. Open to boys and girls of all skill levels, these camps focus on technical development, decision-making, and playing the game the City way. Right now, you can save $30 on registration by using promo code MCNSN30. Again, that's MCNSN30. Scan the QR code on your screen. Find a camp near you, usacamps.mancity.com. What's up? Welcome back in live on the National Soccer Network, episode 218 here of Inside the Game, quickly approaching 225, a century and 25 years here on Inside the Game. It's been a long journey. Started this 2 centuries. There you go. Started this
for 200? Like how there's a century for 100? Is there one for 200?
Outside of 2 centuries, I'm trying to think. Did I say
Oh,
decades, by the way? I
bicentennial.
got that wrong. Definitely not 2 decades. Bicentennial. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
2 decades
Okay.
would be 20 years, Nate. It's a little different than 200.
Well,
no,
I plan on
bicentennial.
doing this for 200 years. So I
should've
hope
known
you're
that
ready
was a
to.
bicentennial. Should have known that.
I,
So
I
I
hope you're
imagine-
ready to run this show for the next 200 years.
So I imagine 300 would be tricentennial? Yeah. Look at us learning today. Teaching the youth.
Heck yeah. All right. Anyways, moving on here on Inside the Game, getting into our final half hour here just in a little bit. But Ryan, you were telling me about some breaking news. We got the official schedule for the World Cup group stage for the
Yeah.
U.S. men's national team. What are we looking at there?
Again, this isn't like breaking news or anything. Obviously, we knew the groups and everything, but they finally gave out the time.
Yeah.
And I ain't gonna lie, I'm a little pissed about this because 2 of these games are on a Friday, so we can't like talk about maybe we do an emergency show the next day, or we do like a little post game reaction right after the game.
Breaking news. There you go.
Maybe we'll have to talk about that. We'll have to talk about what that looks like with John as we get a little bit closer. But yeah, no. So June 12th, first game. That's on a Friday against Paraguay. Again, all these games are on Fox, mind you, because that's where the World Cup is broadcasted on 9 p.m. and out in L.A. on June 12th against Paraguay. Then the following Friday on June 19th, they'll be out west again on Seattle, Washington at 3 p.m. against Australia. So if you guys want to head out to a bar during the middle of the day, skip work, that's exactly what you do. So you're gonna have a little March Madness just going on in the summer. And then on the next Thursday on June 25th, jeez, God, 10 p.m. Oh my goodness, what do they think I am? 10 p.m. to play against that UEFA Path C team. Whether that's I always just assume it's gonna be Turkey at this point to the best team, but come on with these times. Jeez. I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
So like I don't know if you've ever noticed this, Nate, but the US when it comes to scheduling teams, what happens when they play Mexico? Oh, they play them in the northern part of the country. Oh, when they play Canada, where they play them in the southern part of the country. So now we look at it, they're playing Australia, which based on where they're located, you'd think it'd be a little bit closer, but they're playing at 3 p.m. So really, at that time, they're playing at like, gosh, maybe like 10 or that feels like 10 or 11 p.m. for them. Then you think of one of those European teams, they're playing at 10. That's gonna feel like 3 in the morning. So the U.S. is out here playing chess with their schedule. So, but no, that just pisses me off because you and I are gonna have to stay up late to just watch that, and then we're gonna be struggling that Friday for whatever episode that is because you and I would have been up till probably like 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock at that point. Maybe we should just stay up the whole time, do like a 24-hour stream if that's the case.
Oh man. Oh, I don't think I'm built for one of those. Those creators that do those 24-hour live streams, it just I don't like, credit to them. Who's the one big creator that I'm thinking of? What's his name? Has dreads. Had
Really
Kevin
narrows it
Hart
down.
on his stream. Really had Kevin Hart on his stream.
Oh, Kai Cenat.
Kai Cenat, thank you very much. See, I narrowed it down. 2 clues, I got it. Yeah, I don't know how he does what he does. It for as long as he does. It's crazy. But anyways, no, that makes sense. And yeah, you're the game within the game, right? Trying to get some sort of an advantage over the teams that they're playing. But no, it might work out actually well for me, especially that 10 o'clock game, because obviously with minor league ball coming up during the summer, I'm either going to be watching it during my games, before my games, but after my game is probably a better situation. So hopefully by that point we're already on to the knockout stages. But that third and final one might end up being a pretty important one at the end of the day. But let's move on here in hour number 2. So giving you guys a look at what the time slots are for that. Again, full comprehensive coverage here on the National Soccer Network. We'll be talking about all of that leading up to the 2026 World Cup. Ryan, you had an opinion I saw yesterday on social media that I thought was interesting, and this is the sneaking suspicion around this organization, just around the sports circles in general, but Joe Brady to the Bills as their new head coach, and you believe that this is simply just to make Josh Allen happy, almost like this is kind of an inside job. Josh Allen's the one actually calling the shots. Where do you come from on this?
Look, if you're an NFL franchise, or if you're a franchise in general, a sports franchise, what are you doing? You are making your most valuable asset, at least if they're a top 15, top 10 player in the league. You are doing everything you can to make them happy. And what if you're an NFL franchise? You're doing everything you can to make your NFL superstar quarterback happy. That's what you do. It's either that or a defensive end. Those are the two players that you do everything you can in your power to make them happy. What did the Bills do? I heard just reading some articles, you hear that there's maybe some rumblings behind the scenes with Sean McDermott, Josh Allen, all that fun stuff. And then he gets fired after this recent playoff success. And I have another opinion on Josh Allen after we get Nate's opinion. But what do they do? Josh Allen loves Joe Brady as an offensive play caller. What do? Hey, let's make Joe Brady a head coach. That makes Josh Allen happy. But you do everything in your power to make Josh Allen happy. You do everything in your power to make your superstar quarterback. And if you're the Lions looking at the offensive coordinator, we mentioned it on the show a couple of times. What do you do if you're looking for your next offensive coordinator? You talk to Jared Goff. And what do you want to see, Jared, in terms of that? You pay him $45-50 million a year. What do? You talk to him. What would you like to see in offensive coordinator? What type of scheme do you want to run? All this and fun stuff. You're lying to yourself if you think that quarterbacks are not. You're lying to yourself if you think your franchise quarterback who's actually good in the NFL, not a Shedeur Sanders, which we'll talk about later, a good quarterback. You're lying to yourself if you don't think that head coach or that front office is not going up to that quarterback and asking, what do you want to see in your next head coach or your offensive coordinator? That's what the Bills did. All this is to make Josh Allen happy, and the Bills did exactly that. They decided to make him happy. I've always been high on Joe Brady since 2019, what he did with LSU. With Joe Burrow, that is arguably the best offensive performance you could have seen from an offense in college football history. Not the best team. That's not the best team. 2001 Miami is the best team. 2019 Miami or 2019 LSU, number 2 best team in college football of all time. But offensively, that's the best offense of all time. And Joe Burrow, best collegiate performance in a whole year, best quarterback performance of all time in college football. So I've always been high on Joe Brady, and it's good to see him, get a head coaching gig. But this is all for Josh Allen.
The National Football League, much like other American professional leagues, is driven by stars. And we've seen this movement really over the last, I would say, decade of if you get a superstar who is in a lot of ways the CEO of your organization. We see this in the NBA, I feel like more often than a lot of other places. But if you get a superstar in that spot, or if you have your again, shout out LeBron, but if you have a franchise guy in a position of influence like someone like Josh Allen, you are going to lean on his judgment as to how he wants to move into the future. Because again, as Josh Allen goes, this Bills team goes. And I feel the same way about someone like Patrick Mahomes, who I'm sure probably has some level of influence with those decisions. It is a superstar driven league in the National Football League, much like a lot of the other top end American sports leagues. Okay, so that now that we have that out of the way, of course he had some sort of influence on the decision. And you were saying they probably leaned on him for the decision. Well, the Bills president said very plainly that he was a part of the decision. Quote, the starting quarterback, Josh Allen, will be a part of the team but will help select a new coach, said Pegula. He's going to be working with us. Obviously, the Bills hired McDermott in 2017, thus started the McDermott and Josh Allen relationship, but he wanted him out after that postseason failure. The last part of this is that, okay, you give Josh Allen the reins to make this decision. I like the fact that they're promoting from within. I like the fact that they're going with an offensive mind. But now the excuses for Josh Allen are done. There is no more room for excuses in postseason failures anymore. You got your guy. You got McDermott out. You got the person that you wanted into that position. Now the weight, as if it wasn't already massive on the shoulders of Josh Allen, it's even bigger now. Because you're the one you've made this decision. You've influenced it from within. You got McDermott out. You got your guy promoted into the spot that you need him to be. Does that relationship work out to a Super Bowl? That's the biggest question. Because now, if this doesn't work out, or if this falls flat on its face, or it just doesn't hit, or somehow you're able to choke away another playoff game, and this poor run continues for the Bills, all of this is on Josh Allen's shoulders. It is squarely in a lot of ways on his shoulders because of the way that he influenced this decision. Much in the same way we can look at the way that LeBron has gotten coached fired, and gotten other coaches hired who have gone on to maybe not have the level of success that they need. So it seems like apples and oranges, but it's the same exact thing. It is a star-driven league, but now the excuses are done for Josh Allen. There's no more room for excuses.
I think you're right, but real quick, I just saw the Michigan State graphic on my phone. Man, I'm hyped for tomorrow. We'll talk about all that tomorrow. I'm hyped for the game, and I'll let you. We'll know our thoughts on that game because it's a big one tomorrow. Highest rated rankings between those two ever. But anyway, look, Josh Allen. There's there's like a barrier around Josh Allen in terms of media protection of Josh Allen. It's always somebody else's fault. Yeah. It's always the defense's fault. It's always coaching fault. It's always offensive line. It's always running back. And if I'm looking at Josh Allen, he had just about everything he needed. Maybe some wide receiver. Maybe he could have upgraded the wide receivers for sure. But that defense is really good all year. The James Cook, all right, again, really good running back. Offensive line, unbelievable. But again, he played really well against the Jags. But in the divisional, against the Broncos, I think he had two picks, 2 fumbles. You can argue the second one if that was a fumble or not, or a pick or not. And I don't think so. But you're right. The Josh Allen excuses, I think the Josh Allen excuses should have ended a couple years ago. I think you could have argued last year, the year prior. You could have argued that. And you can't argue you can't have the Josh Allen excuse against the Chiefs game where it was like 30 points were scored in like the matter of like 2.5 minutes. Like, yeah, that's fine. But if you look at recent playoff moments, I think you can argue that Josh Allen needs to take a little bit more accountability. Yeah, he's crying at the podium about this and that. I let the team down, and yeah, those could be 100% emotions, or maybe Josh Allen just knows. He's like, man, I'm going to get a lot of blame. I turned the ball over 4 times in this game. Let me just cry a little bit real quick. Let me get some PR so they could back me here. And we're going to, again, I don't understand why some people get some media protection compared to other players and all that fun stuff, but the excuses should have ended a couple years ago for Josh Allen, and in all these playoff performances. He plays well in some, and he plays horrible in others. And if we're regarding Josh Allen as one of the great all-time quarterbacks or a top 5 quarterback in the league, then you've got to have a little bit better playoff performances. If we're going to go after Jared Goff for last year's playoff performances, and he played horrible against the Commanders, but he had great regular seasons. But Josh Allen has great regular seasons and sucks in the playoffs. So if we're gonna hold Jared Goff to that standard, if we got to hold Josh Allen to these standards. I saw someone on social media yesterday talk about C.J. Stroud, who god awful in the Patriots game, and they showed this graphic of him where he had 4 picks or whatever. But Josh Allen, after 4 turnovers, gets this graphic shown of where they fail Josh Allen again or something like that, whatever it was, or Broncos advance. You've got to, at some point, we got to show a little bit of consistency. That's all people want in this world is consistency. They don't want double standards. That's why when we talk about soccer and refereeing decisions, we want just consistency. You hear that all the time. And for fans and everything, everyone just wants consistency when it comes to everything in terms of sometimes the GOAT conversations, who to better conversations, because we're going to turn that into a big household name. Like we're looking at it. We held Bijan Robinson to certain standards because of his offensive line. We held Jahmyr Gibbs to certain standards because of offensive lines and their offenses. That's why Nate and I we're the ones we be keeping it real on this show. We're not sugarcoating nothing. We don't tell the people that Ryan Clark should be a candidate for the Steelers head coaching position. We don't say that. Shout out Stephen A. Smith. Sometimes he's just dumb. But no, that's all we want is consistency.
Shout out Ryan Clark for still being able to think and walk and talk and all that, and knowing that he has a clear brain. I don't know how that's possible. I mean, shout
out to Jonah Hill gif.
Yeah. But did you see the clip of him saying if it was one-on-one him and Derrick Henry that he would make the tackle every single time?
Did not.
Did you see that clip on social media? Ryan Clark and Derrick Henry. Very, very entertaining if you can go back and find that one. But for what it's worth, I believe Ryan Clark. Because they literally changed rules in the NFL because of players like Ryan Clark and that Steelers defense once upon a time. Like, he was one of those old school defensive backs that, like, he didn't want to hit you. He wanted to destroy you. And destroy he did during his time in the National Football League. But no, the comparison that always blows my mind, and we'll never get away from it so long as these two are playing, is the Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen conversation. I mean, yeah, you put all the regular season stats up there that you want, but at the end of the day, Josh Allen has found a way to choke away everything in the postseason. He's not a winner when it matters. Josh Allen is a winner in the regular season. He's made this team a perennial contender. He's put them in really good positions. But every single year, there's a new excuse for the Bills organization, for the Bills franchise, as to why they weren't able to get over the hump. First, it was Mahomes. Then it was this year, and Josh Allen turned the football over 4 times and really just kind of wasting away that opportunity in the postseason. There's always something. There's always a hump to get over. But if you continue to fail and fail and fail again, at some point, whether this be in life or in sports, you have to be willing to look in the mirror and look at your own reflection and go, hey, maybe this is why we're not winning these games. Maybe look inside. Maybe this is why. Like, there has to be something on the inside as to why they can't break through. You can't just continue to point fingers elsewhere. So that's when this organization's like, you know what? Fine. You've been working under the guy since 2022. Let's make him the head coach, and this one's on your shoulders. I know they probably had their own people in there going, maybe we should go this way, maybe giving a little bit of pushback. But at the end of the day, again, as we talked about, this is a Josh Allen conversation. So the excuses to your lack of success in the postseason and not having at least one bowl at this point, which it's been a long time of this team looking good, getting into the playoffs, and not finishing it off with a Super Bowl. This one, like I said, it's on Josh Allen's shoulders squarely.
Yeah, I would agree. I just read a tweet about what we're going to talk about next, and I don't know if you've watched Last Chance U, right?
I have, yeah. It's one of my favorite shows.
The best character in all of it, JB, from
yeah.
Coach Indy. He just did a quote tweet of it, and it's full Coach JB. Like,
yeah,
it's fully him. But no, it's that guy's awesome.
Unfiltered. We got to have him on the show. How about that?
That'd be awesome. I'd love to have Coach JB on here, dude. He's so entertaining. Like, I just like that he keeps it real with everybody. That's all I like. And who was the East Mississippi guy? Buddy Stevens. He was
Buddy Stevens. Yep.
Yep. But I just thought all that stuff was entertaining on Last Chance U. But
college football coaches are madmen. All of them are madmen in their own ways. But we'll move on to our final segment here. All that coming up next, right here on Inside the Game.
Experience the thrill that came like never before with NSN's Game Rewind.
Dive into full match commentaries enhanced with cutting-edge dynamic graphics,
Letting you relive the highs and lows of your favorite matches in astonishing detail.
whether it's a championship win or a legendary play.
NSN Game Rewind bridges the past and future with a broadcast experience designed to captivate.
Call 586-304-4405
And start watching today.
If we're back in on Inside the Game, episode 218. Nate Wangler and Ryan Glitzky moving on to our final point here of the show today. You saw a tweet. You're talking about Emmanuel Acho talking about Sanders. What is the quote here? What are we looking at for this one?
I'll just play the audio. It's so stupid. This is regarding Shedeur Sanders and how he shouldn't listen to his coach. What a dummy.
How is Todd Monken going to command that locker room, command that group of men? And also, if I'm Shedeur or anybody in that locker room, why am I listening to Todd Monken? What have you won on an NFL level as a head coach? You're not even a head coach on an NFL level. So I don't even have expectations for Shedeur under Todd Monken because I believe any expectations I would have, he would not meet. Because why am I excited about it, T?
What has Shedeur Sanders won? College, nothing. Won 4 games and then 9 wins against bums. Sure, he's probably the best quarterback that can actively play on the Browns roster. Shout out to Sean Watson. He probably. But I feel like, so we talked about this media protection for Josh Allen. I think there's media protection for Shedeur Sanders. And I feel like now this is Emmanuel Acho eventually when Shedeur Sanders sucks next year, if he is the starting quarterback. And, I mean, he's probably the best one on the roster at this point, but maybe the Browns make a trade. But I think Acho is eventually just trying to eventually say, well, you know what? He just didn't have a good Shedeur, even though if he sucks, Todd Monken didn't do anything. He hasn't been an NFL coach in the NFL. But you know what? What has Shedeur Sanders won at any level on the collegiate level or the pro level? You know what Todd Monken has done at certain points? He's been a head coach at Southern Miss, and this was during 2013 before NIL transfer portal. He took a 1-win team, and by the third year, when you traditionally rebuild programs, he got them to 9 wins. And guess what happens? He gets snagged, becomes the Bucs offensive coordinator of the NFL. And I think that would have been Jameis Winston if he was the quarterback then. So after that, what does he do? He goes and becomes the Georgia offensive coordinator when they won back-to-back national championships with Stetson Bennett of all people. And then he goes and becomes an offensive coordinator for the last couple of years with Lamar Jackson, who you can argue if Lamar Jackson was a solid quarterback or not. He won MVPs during his stretch there. Didn't have a great year this year, and obviously they didn't have success in the playoffs. But for you, Emmanuel Acho, to come out and say, well, Shedeur Sanders shouldn't listen to his head coach because he's been in a second year in the NFL. This kid's a 5th-round draft pick who is somehow a Pro Bowler. Just to make headlines. That's all the reason Shedeur Sanders is to make headlines. It's the only reason he's in the Pro Bowl. But for you to come out and say Shedeur shouldn't listen to his head coach because what has he won at the NFL level? What has Shedeur Sanders won at the collegiate level and the pro level? I'll tell you, the same as me. Nothing. He's won absolutely nothing. At least Todd Monken has produced an MVP caliber quarterback. At least he's won a couple of national championships at Georgia as an offensive coordinator with Stetson Bennett as his quarterback. Stetson Bennett. If your quarterback's name is Stetson, he isn't that good. Just saying. But you cannot come out here and say Shedeur Sanders can't listen to a coach because what has he won? Shedeur Sanders, what has he won? And again, there's this media protection that will set up Shedeur Sanders because, well, Todd Monken's a first-year NFL head coach. That's all this is. Well, I'll let you know something. The Browns are idiots as an organization and as a franchise. So it's gonna be a mess the whole year. But you can't come out and say he shouldn't listen to a head coach. What NFL quarterback actually can come out and tell a head coach, yeah, I'm not listening to you because you're an idiot? Patrick Mahomes, maybe. Like, that's it. Tom Brady in his prime, sure. But Aaron Rodgers in his prime with the Packers, sure. But Shedeur Sanders? He hasn't done a damn thing.
Yeah. I think we know how this plays out, right? Because we already saw it at Colorado. Like, this is no different than what we saw during his college days. skipping out on certain sessions with his music and performing and
Yeah.
all the other distractions and the media and the Hollywood component to that team in Colorado, who we were told was going to go win a national championship.
Oh,
Well,
great. Yeah, you're right.
Colorado's on the rise, man. Colorado, as they're here to play, and they're going to go win a national championship. You didn't do squat. And the arrogance of someone like Shedeur Sanders is I would argue one of the biggest reasons why that team never did anything, because it didn't seem like he was married to the process in college. Very talented, extremely talented, and so there's a reason why he's in the National Football League. But we've already seen this circus play out. I don't expect anything different. This just seems par for the course when it comes to Shedeur Sanders. Yeah, I mean, Deion, say what you want to say. I still think he's a good guy, but I think they invited Hollywood onto the campus at Colorado, and that didn't win them anything. And now he's in the NFL, and he's continuing to carry himself the same exact way, and it's going to result in the same
Perfect
exact
time,
thing.
man.
He's not going to win anything. And Todd Monken is a proven winner. And so for him to be in this position, to tell your quarterback to actively not listen to their head coach, listen, if you're Aaron Rodgers, I'll give you a pass on that. Okay, if you're Aaron Rodgers and you want to go disappear into the mountains of Tibet or do whatever and, do your holistic healing and show up on the final day, before the exam and go out and win a football game, well, that's fine. Aaron Rodgers has earned that right. Aaron Rodgers has earned the right. And again, he's kind of a you-know-what. And, it's a tough personality to deal with, and we've seen that before. But I'm still okay with that if I'm running the organization. I'm like, as long as Aaron Rodgers is out there, we have a chance to win, because Aaron Rodgers creates, and Aaron Rodgers is a Hall of Famer when all is said and done.
Yeah.
But Shedeur Sanders acting like he's won something before or he's earned something, whether it be in his college career, as you talked about, they didn't win anything of importance. To act like he's somehow earned the ability to carry himself that way and not listen to a head coach. Ryan, we talked about the media protecting Josh Allen. I haven't seen the media protect a single individual football player more in the last 5 years than Shedeur Sanders and the Sanders family, for that matter.
Yeah.
Just the sunshine blowing up the you-know-what of Colorado's football program, and then following Shedeur into the NFL. There is no family more protected by the media outside of the James family, right? LeBron James obviously is
Yeah,
you
true.
talk about it like he's the number one thing in the media, because ESPN understands what the ratings look like. Like, LeBron is going to take up half of our conversation every day because LeBron gets clicks. Like, people are just that enamored with LeBron James. But the other part of it, the Sanders family. If he didn't have the last name Sanders, no one would even know the kid's name. No one would even care. You like, take the same qualifications, take the same what he did at Colorado and everything leading up to it, and give him the name Caleb Smith. No one is even talking about the kid. No one even cares because he's so irrelevant in the grand scheme of things. But the NFL, like I said, by hook or by crook, they're going to do everything they can to just make it all about the superstars. It's turning into Hollywood. And Shedeur Sanders, maybe to his credit, is a part of that Hollywood.
There was a couple weeks ago where Jamel Hill, I don't know if you know who she is, but she's on, she used to be on ESPN or still is, I don't remember what. But she said, because obviously Kevin Stefanski, now that new head coach with Atlanta, she said, like, basically like hinting at, like, well, Deion Sanders should be the Atlanta Falcons head coach because the city of Atlanta loves him and they don't know who Kevin Stefanski is and all that fun stuff. I do not. If I'm a Lions fan and Barry Sanders somehow is a college head coach at Oklahoma State, and he does an okay job, kind of just hovers around 500, and the Lions all of a sudden need a head coaching gig, I'm not calling Barry. Deion Sanders, all this Sanders family does is suck at the game of football, except Deion. He was a really good football player. But ever since Deion has retired from the NFL, Deion sucks at coaching football. Shedeur Sanders sucks at playing. Shiloh Sanders sucks at playing. Then he gets on an NFL roster, fights some dude, and then he gets kicked out. I think it was the Bucks. But you can't come out here and protect this family so much when they suck at the game of football. I'm not saying Deion sucked as a player. He was really good at a player. But in the 2020 decade, this family has sucked at the game of football, whether that's coaching or playing. I don't understand this media protection of this whole family. Shiloh sucks. Shedeur sucks. Primetime sucks at coaching at Colorado. And it's like, what makes Shedeur, or what makes Deion think he should be a head coach of the Falcons? Nothing. Why? Because the city of Atlanta likes him? I don't give a shit if Barry Sanders is in the running to be the head coach of the Lions. I don't want him unless he's proven something. Deion has not proven anything. Shedeur has not proven anything. Shiloh has not proven anything. This whole family is just protected by bubble wrap by everybody because it's prime time. We got the watch, perfect timing. So what, you beat Colorado State? So what, you beat TCU, that sucked? So I think Nebraska actually beat Colorado. I think Nebraska beat Colorado when they played. It's like, I'm sorry, I can't keep going anymore. This family just pisses me off. Like, it's just so annoying at this point.
Well, and if Jamel Hill knew what she was talking about, she'd know that Deion said he never plans on going back to the NFL. He's not interested in getting an NFL job. So we see this. Yeah, we see this. Like, just because you were a good player doesn't mean you're good in the front office. Doesn't mean you're good at coaching or anything else along those lines. Just because you were a good player. And Deion's a legend. Like, I don't want to take anything away from Deion Sanders, but the Hollywood. Everyone thought Hollywood would fuel this family into winning a national championship.
It doesn't.
You know, it doesn't. It doesn't. You're just simply adding distractions, and that's the part that really surprises me the most, Ryan. And maybe because for Deion, he was so athletically gifted and raw. Because you think about it, Deion could have played baseball professionally too. Like, he was really kind of the next, if there's any sort of close comparison to Bo Jackson, which I don't think there is, but if there was anybody that really was kind of in that conversation of being someone who could make a career out of multiple sports and do it well, Deion Sanders was the other guy on that list. You know, I think Bo Jackson, I think Deion Sanders is another great example. So I don't want any of this to take away from what Deion did in his career. He was great, but again, it was the flash, it was the pizzazz, it was all of those things that he brought to the table. But I thought someone of his level would at least understand that introducing all of these distractions in Hollywood, in the media, in music, in everything that they're involved in would not result in wins, would not result in success. And maybe it was just Deion's plan all along to just put his kids in the best position and give them as much of a leg up in terms of the media coverage and everything else. Maybe he just wanted to create something special. I mean, he was great at the HBCU, Jackson State. He was great. He won a lot there, but I just think he learned when they got to Colorado that winning just doesn't come that easily. And I'm a little shocked and surprised and always taken aback. And you know, Deion has always been Deion. You know, he's never swayed away from who he is, and I love that about Deion loves Deion more than anybody else loves Deion. And so I love that component of his personality, and I love that his sons are that way too. But you can only be that way if you are someone who has accomplished what Deion has done at the levels that he's done it and the success that he's had. Again, this is why I created this comparison to Aaron Rodgers. Like, if Rodgers treats...
Question of the day here, but question of the day, everyone knows the drill. Who it's sponsored by. Salt Athletic, an official sponsor, is here at the National Soccer Network. Use promo code NSN15 to save 15% off that #1 smell-proof cleat bag that 100% works. Visit saltathletic.com today or scan that QR code. Or if you guys are wanting to enter in a free giveaway to win of these bags, we have a couple of entries right now. Head over to our Instagram right now, Nat Soccer TV. Give us a follow, tag a friend, and comment hashtag NSN Salt giveaway. It's that easy. One winner every week. We'll be having that here tomorrow and for the next 21 weeks. So we'll be giving away 21 of these. I honestly should have used this for my pickup basketball yesterday for my shoes because, boy, were they a little bit stinky. I was playing a whole bunch of games because my team kept winning, and yeah, I guess that happens. But
It helped.
Question of the day. I got this yesterday, actually, because of Ted Lasso coming back for a season 4 for whatever reason. I think that's dumb. But at what point should a TV show or a movie franchise die?
This is tough. I just learned the other day that apparently there are 4 Shreks. 4 Shrek movies.
4?
I knew there were a couple of them, but I
knew
believe there are
3.
4.
But there's
Isn't
a
there
fourth?
a fourth? There's a 4th one that I believe is coming out.
Oh.
So that's going to be in theaters. I've never seen any other movie outside of the original Shrek. And I think that there are limited examples of movies where they made a follow-up that even really came close to matching the original. So movies are one thing, and I would agree with you there that reruns, you're running a risk here, right? Because unless it's like 20 or 30 years later, and you're just not reruns, sorry, but you're adding to the storyline when people enjoyed the original product, you're really running a risk here. Like Happy Gilmore 2.
That was
Okay.
so stupid.
Okay, yeah, maybe it was all right, but did it have nearly the pop culture impact that Happy Gilmore 1 did? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Not even in the same conversation. It was cool. It was cute. I mean, it kind of reminiscent of what the first one was. Movies are one thing. TV shows, I think, are a little bit different. I think you have a little bit more leeway, and I think the reason being is because when you fall in love with the characters in that TV show, despite moving through the different, the different components of what that looks like, so long as you have your main characters still, you're going to do great. But like I think about like The Office when obviously Steve Carell left and what's his face? Can't think of his name. Anchorman. Will Ferrell.
Will Ferrell was there for a couple
Came
episodes.
When he came in, people were like, yeah, this is terrible. All respect to Will Ferrell, he just couldn't take that spot away from the main character of the show and expect it to succeed. So I think if you still have your main cast where they need to be, I don't know. I think it's easier for TV shows personally.
I think you're right for TV shows. Once that main core starts to leave, I think that's when you
Yeah.
cut it off. But for a movie
Right.
franchise, whatever your original plan is for the show or for the franchise, and once like people like love it and you get to the point where you cut it off,
Yeah.
do nothing else with it.
Yeah.
Do nothing with it. Maybe
Right.
you have a TV show spin-off and maybe you try it that way. But like if I'm looking at Star Wars, for example, the original 3, and whenever you tie any show or any movie, shout out Revenge of the Sith, shout out Rogue One, whenever you tie something into the original trilogy, everyone loves it. But the moment that you start doing different timelines and introducing different characters, then it starts to get off the rails a little bit, and people don't
Yeah.
like it as much. I think the
Mhm.
prequels get a little bit more hate than it should. But the sequels,
Yeah.
garbage everywhere. Shout out
Yep.
Mandalorian, by the way, amazing. But again, that also ties into the original 3, so it's weird. It's weird, but you tie it into the original 3, it all works. So once like the Avengers, for example, once Endgame happened, everything else has been kind of just awful. Now you're starting to
Yeah.
see it start to make its way back, and I forget when Endgame came out, but like everything after the fact sucked. So for TV shows, once that core group heads out, cut it. And then for your movie franchise, the moment your original plans, like whatever you have planned, whenever that ending comes, you cut it. You don't do anything else. Or unless you tie in some movie or TV show that ties into that original trilogy or
Yeah.
original set of movies, then that's fine. But
Yep.
after that, cut it. Cut your losses.
You make a great point, but I think people have just fallen in love with the cast of Ted Lasso. So I think that's where
I don't even know who's going to be in it. All I've seen is Jason
Yeah.
Sudeikis. That's all I've seen.
I think he's the one that I think everybody's coming back to see. But it'll be interesting. You're not gonna like this one very much. Well, I don't even know if you like Ted Lasso. I've never seen it.
Wow.
So
You-
yeah, that's one of those things.
You're gonna have to. It's a good show.
I saw Breaking Bad late, so I got to get on that train. But anyways, that'll wrap up episode
Stop playing
218.
Fortnite every night.
Yeah, it
Watch
ain't
the
every
show.
night. I wish it was every night.
Stop losing to
but
12-year-olds.
Sometimes I beat the 12-year-olds. All right, and once in a while, maybe 1 out of every 10 times, but it happens. I need your help. You're closer to 12 than I am, so I need your help.
In years, though.
But we'll be back tomorrow for episode 219 here on Inside the Game.
From the biggest matches to the hottest takes, Jonathan Turner and Nathan Wenger bring you the stories, the analysis, and the edge you won't get anywhere else. Streaming live weekdays at 9 a.m. on YouTube, Roku TV, Facebook, Twitter, and all major platforms. No filters, no fluff, just real talk, real soccer. This is Inside the Game.